Yabba Dabba Right. Sans our friend Debbie, but it is. Well, I got to turn the microphone on because you're not sitting in the big chair.
I am not in the big chair.
But you're in the chair. You're in the house. We've got Tom Campenny because it's Friday.
Hooray!
We did it. We made it through another week.
Well, why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
It's not that difficult.
You just have to open your eyes. That's it, right?
Just don't cross in the middle of the block.
There you go. All right. So, as my function, I always like to, everybody's got their own song, right?
Let me hear it. I've heard it before. Let me hear it.
Yeah, everybody needs a theme song, I think. All right. And that's a good one. It worked for Peter Sellers. It should work for you, right?
Well,
why not?
I really liked his co-stars better.
Yeah, they were.
What was her name? Cappuccino.
Oh, well, he had a couple of pretty stunning co-stars over the years. Yes, he did, indeed. All right.
So, what's new with you, Frank, this week?
Well, I had an interesting week. I joined LA Fitness, and that was a marvelous experience. Hang on, we got a caller coming in. WSTU. Hey.
You know what they say about dead air?
Oh, all right. Well, I'll put you on the air for a moment, all right? All right, stand by.
All right. This must be important.
Pittsburgh Deb.
Oh, Deb.
How you doing, Pittsburgh Deb?
I'm good. Who's hosting the show?
We got Tom Campenny is in the house.
Hey, Deb.
Great.
Yep,
How
north.
are you?
Yep, north.
Yes, I'm going to get off the exit here in just a minute. I've been driving all day. I'm in North Carolina.
Oh.
Here.
Very
the weather's
good.
wonderful.
I bet it is.
How long are you going for?
A week.
A beautiful week away from Frank.
Yes.
1 week, anyway.
Yeah.
But
yes.
I want to remind you, tonight is Friday Fest in
Fort Pierce.
And,
Okay.
And I don't want you to forget to announce the fishing tournament because we only have 1 month to get the kids all on a boat.
Okay. All right. Very good.
So, and I want you to have a happy birthday on Sunday, and we'll celebrate next week when I get back.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Well, you have yourself a safe trip and be careful of Virginia. They have a dam about to break.
I'm not going to Virginia.
Good. Stay away. Stay clear.
That's in Wilkes-Barre. I thought that was in Pennsylvania.
No, actually, Virginia. They're saying in the news it's that damn thing. Yep, it's about to break.
Yep.
So.
All right, Deb. Have a good trip.
Okay.
All righty.
You guys have a great show. Thanks.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Deb. Appreciate you calling in. Take
Bye-bye.
care. All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Okay, so you did get a call in from your long-lost co-host.
My co-host. Anyways, I tried to call my Aunt Marie, but she is not available right now. She is, I always like to do big shot birthdays because I know you're an avid listener and you tune in every Friday
for those big shot birthdays.
Just to find out, And one of the big shot birthdays is somebody that you know. Right?
I left my heart.
Fly me to the moon.
Ooh.
And let me play.
Are you going to say who it is?
Among the stars.
You can.
Well, it's Tony Bennett, 92 today.
Yes. And my Aunt Marie, born in 1919,
Let me see what
is
spring
99
is
today.
like.
She and Tony, the same birthday.
Isn't that amazing?
Antonio Benedetti, his real
Yep.
name is.
Antonio Benedetti, and he was born in 1826.
1926.
Yes.
In
Right?
other
Yes, 1926.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said
No,
1826.
1926. Yeah. Whoa, that would be really old.
That would be.
Whoa.
Now, I've seen him a number of times in person, and
Yeah.
he's probably slowing down a bit because I haven't seen him in about 10 years, but
Right.
he always gives a great show.
Yeah, I bet he does. He's probably one of the last of the crooner entertainers out there.
That's what they say from the
Yeah.
old style.
Yeah.
But who else's birthday is it? Do you have someone else today?
There are some other birthdays. Let's see now. Martha Stewart was born
77.
yes, 1941. And Leon Uris, he who is a writer, and he wrote The Exodus and the Battle Cry, and
He
was
must
born
be in his 90s.
1924.
Is he still alive?
I don't believe so. They don't give the.
They don't give. Well, we know Martha Stewart is alive.
Yes, she's still with us, and she's out of jail now. So
Well, for a while now,
Yeah,
in all
yes.
fairness.
yes, and she's doing real well.
Didn't Trump pardon her?
I think he did.
Well, then she's got a clean slate and she could vote again.
How cool is that? Yeah. Well, at least he knows in the next election he's got one vote.
Maybe.
I think she would probably vote for him. Let's see. 1905, Maggie Kuhn, social activist and founder of the Gray Panthers, not to be confused with the Pink Panthers.
Or the
Right.
Black Panthers.
Yes.
Eldridge Cleaver, Soul
Yeah.
on Ice.
Yeah, and Ernie Pyle was born on this date. He was a World War II correspondent who wrote about the common soldier, a very famous writer. And
He died in 1945.
yeah, Ernie Pyle. And so pretty cool stuff. Yeah, interesting things in history. You know, I love to talk about some of the things that happened. Sir Roger Casement.
Who was he?
He was hanged for treason in England.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I guess after they hung him, they casement. I don't know. I always,
Casement windows.
yes, and in door frames. So they probably framed him.
Ah,
Yes,
well, at least it wasn't defenestration.
yes. In 1945, Chinese troops under the American general Joseph Stilwell take the town of Mariana. It's Myitkyina, Bitiana, from the Japanese.
Oh, Fighting Joe Stilwell.
Yes. So pretty interesting stuff. The Chinese school system still teaches the amazing work that the Americans did on behalf of the Chinese during World War II. The students.
Actually, it's pretty amazing.
There's the amazing part is the most American students grow up not fully aware of the U.S. involvement in China even before World War II.
Yeah, I think that is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But the reason why we're talking so much about history is because we don't have a newspaper to tell you what's going on today. So
Yeah.
we're going to tell you what's going on
Well,
in yesteryear.
Yesteryear, yes. The first nuclear submarine, the USS Nautilus, passed under the North Pole on this date in 1958.
58. I would have said 57.
If you were a betting man, you would have lost it by 1 year.
I'd like you to check out that fact.
Yeah.
But
1967, President Lyndon Johnson announced plans to send 45,000 additional troops to Vietnam.
well, now we're getting closer to
Yeah.
our era.
More contemporary time, yes. In 1972, former Beatle Paul McCartney announced formation of a new group called Wings. Ooh.
That was after my time.
And in 1975, you remember this, the Louisiana Superdome was dedicated on this date.
No, I did not remember that.
You weren't there
I was not there.
for the dedication ceremony.
I was not there. But my wife was there, actually, because
Yeah.
she went to school there,
Well,
to
all right.
Tulane. And she
See?
did mention that she was there when they opened it.
Yeah, it was a big to do. It was a big to do around the country because it was, wow.
Well, I had more pressing things like earning a living.
yeah. And the Silver Dome in Detroit was the concept was patterned after the Superdome. You know, as far as the
Mhm.
concept, and
And
it didn't do well.
I've never been to Detroit,
Well,
except the airport.
right.
And I drove through it when I took a shortcut from Niagara Falls
Oh, right.
and over and then through Windsor. And
Right. Yeah. That's the best way. You have to really travel through Canada.
But, I didn't realize that they wouldn't take U.S. dollars. So I stopped and I wanted a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And, of course, they wouldn't take the U.S. dollar in Canada. And so the man gave it to me on the house.
Oh,
And I thought that was very interesting that he wouldn't take George Washington
right.
for the coffee, but such is life.
Isn't that interesting? It is fascinating. What year was that?
I'd say around 1997, 98.
All right.
I thought it would be an easy one, but it
Right.
wasn't. It wasn't.
Yeah.
So, besides all this history, Frank,
Yes.
can I tell you about what's happening tomorrow? You want to know
Yes.
something about what's
yes.
happening
What's
tomorrow?
going on tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow we have in Stewart,
Mm-hmm.
we have the Back to School Bash in Stewart, East Stewart, and that's going to be comprised. That's being sponsored by the East Stewart Partnership,
Mm-hmm.
the NAACP, and Stewart PD. And we will be giving away 500 backpacks to students. We will have a barbecue. We will have a place for kids to get vaccinated if they don't have their vaccinations for
Mhm.
school.
Yeah.
We'll have a place to get haircuts, all types of games and rides. And it's on Tarpon Avenue in MLK, and we invite everyone to come out. You don't need to be a Stewart resident. All you need to be is there. So I hope to see as many people as possible for that
Yeah.
Back to School Bash. This is our 5th year.
So it's well known and well, yes.
Yeah, last year we ran out of
Well
everything.
attended, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Because I'll be manning the hot dog hamburger grill, and we have barbecue, and of course drinks, and a whole host of things that we're going to give away. 4 bikes will be given away
Nice.
in a raffle. So hope to see everyone out there.
That's
10 to 2.
10 to 2 tomorrow,
Right, Tarpon and
That's
Martin Luther King.
August
And
4th.
again, you do not have to be a resident of East Stewart or of Stewart, period. Anyone in the county is invited.
Wow, how cool is that?
So, is there anything else going on this weekend, Frank? What are you doing this weekend?
Well, I'll tell you what I was doing this week, right? So Sunday I turned 65.
It's not my fault.
I know.
Did you get your Medicaid card?
Yeah. I got my Medicare, and
I thought it would be Medicaid in your case.
yes, that too. But I called the customer service number on the back of the card.
Oh, that was a mistake.
Yes, and I got a number for LA Fitness. They have an account set up with Uncle Sam,
hmm
and so you get your workouts for free.
Really?
Yes, so it's pretty cool. So
And you have your drug prescription plan?
I didn't get that's the part D, right?
Right.
Yeah, I didn't sign up for part D yet.
Mm.
Fortunately, I don't have to take any meds. I just take over-the-counter vitamins.
So you're very healthy, man.
I went to see the doctor yesterday. Thank you, Medicare.
Your first Medicare
yes, doctor
exam.
Visit. Yeah, so I did that yesterday. A very nice doctor right here, and Stewart, and so that was pretty good. They said, "Well, there's nothing." Nothing here we can make any money on, so we'll send you home.
and you sat down. He sat you down. He went over all the.
Yes.
And you had your. Was it EKG you had to
Yes,
have?
it did an EKG. Yeah, sounds like you were in the office with me.
Well, no, I've had my own done.
That's true. Yeah, they did an EKG, and I it was pretty easy, straightforward,
Well,
situation.
happy birthday. I'm glad you've made our ranks.
Our ranks, yeah, I definitely, but it's kind of neat, that it's now is you think about all the years you've been paying into the system, so it's like, okay, this is okay.
Well, you still pay a little bit because
Yes,
they
oh,
take
yeah.
a premium,
Of course,
but you know what? They can't throw you off.
yes,
And so there's a great relief to having that you don't have before 65.
right. Just
So,
more. Yeah,
I'm not complaining at all.
exactly.
So that's one good thing about becoming a year older when you hit that mark.
Yeah.
So
So-
besides your birthday, what else happened to you this week? Did you do something wild and crazy?
No wild and crazy for me. No, but I've had some really neat activities at the shop where I've been. I have a friend of mine that bought an old radio cabinet, old AM radio, big wooden box cabinet, right? And so I'm refinishing it for him in my shop. And so after I get all the stain and varnish work done, then him and I will start assembling all the the fabric screen and the speakers and all the hardware will go back into the box. So
When I was not a kid, of course, but when I was a younger man, we had in the office one of those old Philco radios that we would only use it on special occasions.
Mhm.
Like, I think the last time we had it on was when Elvis Presley died.
Wow.
And so it would go on. You hear the tubes heating up.
Right. Yeah.
And you tried to get a station, and it was just AM, of course, not
Right.
FM.
Right.
And it was kind of interesting. And I don't know, maybe we're almost the same age. So do you remember? I remember listening to the Lone Ranger
Of
on the
course.
radio.
Yep.
And
I used to listen to that. And, the Lone Ranger was actually broadcast in the Maccabees building in downtown Detroit.
really,
Yeah, that was actually where it was broadcast from.
did they get the horses in there too?
It was all sound effects. But yeah. And I used to love to listen to Jack Armstrong, the All-American.
No, I don't remember him, but
But the radio station would play the
old ones.
stuff. And so I would listen to that. And I love that.
Well, I remember they would have that. The Lone Ranger would be on the
Right.
radio, and I
Right.
think like a few days later, it would be the TV show. It was just verbatim the TV show.
Ah,
And I also remember Alan Ladd and Johnny Dollar, a detective radio show.
wow.
So, and also Gunsmoke.
Gunsmoke was on the radio.
Yes. And I don't know why, because we also had a TV, but I guess we just listened to the radio. And this is when I was a real young child.
Yeah, the advantage of radio and especially the storytelling, because I had a chance to listen the other day. I was playing around with YouTube, and I found H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds.
Uh-huh.
And to me, that was quintessential radio, because H.G. Wells did just a marvelous job of bringing the listener in, and through the pictures formed with words, we're able to really create quite a hysteria.
When my son was younger, he used to love to listen to radio tapes, because we had a place in the middle of nowhere, a weekend place, so we didn't have really we had no TV.
Right.
It was way before cable was around, and so we had the radio, and it was a local station, much like this. And who wants to listen to people like us? So we would have these tapes of radio shows, and he would love to listen to all the old radio shows.
Oh, sure.
So
You get to use your imagination.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I think radio is great. So besides that, Frank, what else did you do this week?
What else did I do?
Come on, you can tell me. It's a family program. Remember
Yes,
that.
yes. No, I went to lunch with a friend, and a mutual friend, Darlene, and I had a lovely lunch, and we like to catch up, on politics and things that we like to chat about. So,
She didn't tell me she had lunch with you.
yeah, it was, I think it was, I forget what day, it's Tuesday, something like Tuesday, Wednesday, I forget which day. It was earlier this week. It was
Wow.
kind of nice to catch up with friends. I don't get a chance I don't get out much, so it's always nice.
You don't get out much.
No,
What's that? What was that?
that was my phone.
Ah.
There's somebody texting me.
So how's it? Why don't you get out much?
Oh, always working.
It's your show, but I'm interviewing you.
Yes, I see that.
You usually interview me when I come on.
Yes, this is strange. Yeah, I'm always working.
Well, that's getting out.
Well, I mean, I leave from my house. I go to my shop and I work at the shop and crank out some neat frames. So one of the frame jobs I did recently was
He didn't set anybody up, folks.
Yeah.
He makes frames.
yes, that's true. I build custom picture frames. So one of my neighbors at the business park where I'm at over at Avonlea Commerce Center is his name is Brent Waddell, and he owns Freedom Waste Company. And he, back in the day, was one of the Disney characters at Disney. So when you go to the Magic Kingdom, you see all those people bouncing around. They have all these kids, dressed
Right.
up in Goofy and all the other characters. And so he had a group picture taken with him and his colleagues, and it was fading with age, as they do.
Mm-hmm.
The colors were changing. So him and I were talking about that yesterday, and I borrowed the picture, took it off the wall from and took it apart, took it in my shop, and scanned it into my computer, recolorized it, and voila, I gave him a brand new picture.
What a talented man you
That
are.
was pretty cool. And we were talking about it. I says, I think I got software that might just could do that. So anyways, so it was pretty cool that breathed new life into an old image, you know.
Well, you know,
It's a creative part, you know, what I do. I love that part of it.
well, you know, you're really an artist
Ah.
wrapped in a blanket of just everyday normal man.
Yeah.
We don't even realize how, and I'm not going to kid around.
Yeah.
We don't even realize how many artists we have
In our community.
in our community.
It's
This place is phenomenal. And
Yeah.
I would say anyone should go on their Facebook page, the Martin
Yeah.
County Artists,
Yeah.
and they should look at the works of art. I mean, it is phenomenal. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, we know about Jeffrey Smith, but when you see the number that are, I'm not going to say doing fantastically well, but people who actually make a living
Yes.
doing their artwork,
Yes.
it's really phenomenal. I think we live in a very special place when it comes to that.
I agree entirely. And speaking of special things, we have to take that obligatory time out.
Oh, pay some bills.
Pay some bills.
I don't get paid, folks, so
But we appreciate Tom, and we appreciate you for listening. So please stay tuned. We'll be right back. And now it's time for today's Southeast AgNet Report, which is brought to you by Everglades Farm Equipment, a family-owned business for the past 50 years with 10 Florida locations, including Fort Pierce, Okeechobee, and Loxahatchee. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. No, it's not. It's WSTU here in Stewart. I keyed in the wrong tag. I'm sorry. I was busy talking to Tom and hit the wrong button. So we misidentified ourselves.
We are in downtown,
Yes.
beautiful Stewart,
Yes.
here on the gem of the Treasure Coast, Martin County.
Right. And in the newly repainted Breckville D. Berard building, freshly repainted.
Well, I did see them out there.
Yeah.
Well, they did not come into the studio,
No,
did they?
no, it's just exterior work.
I can see that.
Yes. So politics is your forte. That and real estate, right?
Well, let's just talk about politics
Okay.
because that's much
Yeah, all right.
better for
Okay.
us.
Okay.
But yes, we're in the midst of the election season. The absentee ballots have gone out.
Yeah.
It really is an exciting time. I think it's going to really be a change election. I think there's going to be some surprises out there when all the votes are counted.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about the federal because that's so much above me. We could talk about the state and
State
local.
and local, yeah.
And it's really
And in the local issues, I mean, we've got the millage.
the taxpayer
Right.
not the taxpayers but the school board's local millage and
Right.
$500,000, and that will
Right.
be for 4 years. I mean, I have
You-
done a lot of research on that
Mhm.
for the taxpayers and for my own self, and I've written extensively on it. And I will say that I think it's very necessary that is passed. 77% of what's raised, about $11 million,
Right.
will go towards teachers' compensation.
Right.
Another 9% will go for other employees of the school board, and 3% will go for SROs,
Which means
student resource officers.
okay.
So 93%, I think that adds up to, of that $11 million is in direct payroll cost. What I found out through research and talking to our school board members is that while Martin County is about equal with St. Lucie and Palm Beach County in the beginning years, as those teachers become
age
more and
out.
more senior,
All right.
this $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 difference. So we're losing, we train them and then we lose them to either Palm Beach or St. Lucie County. And so we want to retain those teachers. At least I would like to retain those teachers in Martin County for our kids. So I think
So I understand this past school year we lost a lot of teachers, right? At
We
the end of
did.
the school year.
we did.
Yeah.
And so I'd like
That
to
explains why.
that's one of the explanations.
Yeah.
Because I think given everything, they much rather teach here. And I know people are going to say, well, they need to pull in their belts and, they're not another penny more. But, first of all, we give to Tallahassee $45 million per year in our tax dollars for education. And that means that of that money that we collect from your school board, from your school ad valorem taxes, $45 million is sent away to Tallahassee. We can't use it
Right.
because there's something called an equalization rate in Florida. And the state tells us how much we have to charge minimally. And we're known as a donor county because we
Yeah.
have extra money that we send for other counties that don't have it, because it's about 70. The state says you could spend $7,700 per student. Well, we spend more than that. And the way reason we spend more is because we have other programs that are not required, like band, like music, like a dedicated science room, all of this in the elementary schools. Well, this is not required. Do we really want to give that away? I mean, education just can't be about testing, and Tallahassee requires lots of tests.
Testing, yeah.
And do we want to give up our sports teams? Do we want to give up the programs about nursing and about culinary arts that we have, plus a number of other?
Right.
So either we're going to do that, or we're going to have this increase. And the way they have framed it is they told us how they're going to use it. We have 4 years to see if they use it in that way.
Mhm.
And then they may come back and say, can we do it for longer?
Yeah.
But the voter will decide. And for the average homeowner, it's about, I believe, $250 a year.
All right.
So I'm going to vote yes on that. We'll see. There's another one coming up in November for the capital program, and not a sales tax, but not an ad valorem, but a sales tax. We'll see how that goes. I have to study that more before I can give you an
All
opinion
right.
on that.
And so, but what is that? That is what is that? Frame the argument. Okay.
That will be okay. Schools are run in two different ways. Not two different ways, but there are two pots of money in
Two
the
different
state.
funding sources. Okay.
One is for capital,
Mm-hmm.
and one is for operating.
Okay.
The ad valorem is operating. If you want to do any capital projects, you have to fund them differently.
In
And
other words,
so
construction.
of new
Right.
schools,
All right.
or to extensively repair schools. And that is on the capital side. And so in November, they're going to request, the school board will request a $500,000 increase in the sales tax to go towards that capital side. I'm not ready to say whether it's good or bad.
You mean?
Half a cent.
Okay.
Sorry, half a cent.
Mm.
So we'll see how that goes. So that gives us something to work with, and also, Senator Negron, after all these years, has decided to call it in.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a big change for the Treasure Coast, because as president, he really had a lot. He had a lot of bing bang up there, and we may not have even seen all the things he accomplished for us.
Mm-hmm.
But because let's face it, one thing about Joe, he's not one of these people who brags about everything he's ever done.
Right.
So
he quietly just goes about his business.
We're going to have to see, with whoever our new state senator is, whether they will remember who the Treasure Coast is and will bring things home for us as a district. It'll take a while because we won't have that seniority like we have now.
Yeah, we've really been blessed to enjoy
Yeah,
that.
so we'll see who gets elected to that, whether Gail Harrell or Belinda Kaiser.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's only in the primary, of course. Then we have a
general.
We have a general,
Right.
and Dr. Levy, the Democrat, will be in that race.
Right.
On the the legislative district 83, where Gail Harrell is leaving, we will have Toby Oberdorf against Sasha Dadan in the Republican primary, and we'll have to see how that plays out. Toby, of course, is the REC chairman for Martin County, and Sasha lives up in St. Lucie County, and we'll see how that happens. And I think that'll be a race.
Yeah.
And then there is Matt Theobald, who is the Democrat who lives in Jensen Beach, will be running against the winner of the Republican primary. In the county race, we have a county race for commission for District 4. That's going to be in August, and that is there are 4 people in that race. Of course, Commissioner Hurd has decided to run. She is filed,
Right.
and she is on the ballot. And we have Nikki Norton, a local architect,
Right.
and we have Harold Markey, who was a former employee of Martin County,
He
and
was, yes.
and was there for a number of years.
Highly respected.
And then we have Butch Olson from Port Salerno. I think that will be not as close as the other races. I sort of think that Commissioner Hurd will probably prevail there, but I think we should all go out and vote. And it does matter who's going to be in our in our commission. The other commission race is District 2, which is Stewart in northern Martin County, and it'll be Stacey Hetherington, the Republican, and Joe Banfi, the Democrat, and we'll see how that works out, but that won't be until November.
Right.
So that's the way it shapes up in the county. In the city, there's 2 commission races. One for my old seat that's now held by Nick Blunt, and Mike Meyer from Ground Floor Farm is running in that race against Nick.
Right.
And in the other race, it's Troy McDonald versus Merritt Matheson. Troy was running for the District 2 seat for County Commission, but he left that, dropped out, and decided to run again in Stewart. So that'll be, I think both of those will be very, very close.
Really?
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. Okay. Well, we're going to take our last time out, Tom, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
And we are back. You're listening to WSTU here in Stewart. And we are joined by a good friend of mine and neighbor right at Cedar Point. And that's Sarah Burns. How you doing, Sarah?
I'm great, Frank. How are you?
Very good. Good to have you here in the studio joining Tom and I.
Thank you.
And wanted to talk about, I'm looking at this picture that you've got posted up here on your GoFundMe page that you started. And it's a picture of Building F over there at Cedar Point. And I'm reminded of a friend of mine who's now retired, Dave Dial, who was Chief Dial of the Stewart Police Fire Department, and Chief Dial would say, "When the ladders go up, the building goes down." So, so I see in the foreground, I see the ladder, and I see the roof on fire of Building F. So, I think it was aptly stated by
Yes, it
Chief
was.
Dial. Yeah, right. So, indeed, and so Sarah, tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll talk a little bit. We only got about 10 minutes or so. So, but a little bit about yourself, and then a little bit why you're here. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'm a life coach and a spiritual healer. I'm a Reiki master healer, and I do some work in psychic mediumship. And my past life, I designed computer systems for major corporations. So that's a little bit of a change. But I've been in this healing business for about 27 years, and I enjoy it, and I like the balance.
Yeah.
And I moved to Florida about 4 years ago from Connecticut, and I
Oh,
love
we're
it
in
here.
Connecticut.
Brookfield and Bridgeport.
Okay, no, we moved from Greenwich about 20 years
Oh,
ago
you
at this
did?
point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up in Bridgeport, and then I lived in Brookfield maybe the past 16 years.
Yeah, I love Connecticut,
Yeah.
but I love warm weather better.
Yeah, that's right. The snow gets to you
Yes,
after a
it does.
while.
All right. So the reason why you're here is because of Building F over at Cedar Point. What the Memorial Weekend, right?
Yeah, it was Memorial Night, as a matter of
Yeah,
fact, about
yeah.
8:00.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gentleman was smoking, left a cigarette on his couch, I guess, and
I think it fell. It probably fell and rolled into the couch or something. And
yeah,
from what I understand, by the time he ran to get the fire extinguisher and got back, the couch was in flames, and then it didn't take long for it to just take off.
yeah.
It was too bad, but thank goodness no one got hurt. That
Right.
we did lose a cat.
I understand there was a cat. Yes, yeah. So, so you decided to, on your own volition, right? You started this GoFundMe page, right?
Well, I did, but I have to share the credit because we had a lot of neighbors from the other villages coming by and saying, "What can we do? We want to help." And so people approached me because of my systems background. "Hey, Sarah, you want to start a GoFundMe page?" I said, "Well, let me think about it. Let me see what's involved and all that business." So anyway, I decided to start one because people wanted to contribute, they wanted to help, and there was no vehicle in place to be able to do that. So I did start the GoFundMe page, and its purpose is to help the fire victims pay their HOA fees, because even though they're displaced, they still have to pay those fees. And rather than just give them cash, this will at least, take some pressure of debt off of them. So far it's been up, I think, I don't know, 20 days, maybe not even 7, since July 6th, the site's been up, and we have last I checked, it was about $835.
All right. So that's
about $80. There's 10 units that were down, and so I'll divide it evenly, and then I'll just send the check to the association.
mm. And so if listeners want to contribute, they would go to the GoFundMe.com/Cedar Point Fire Building F. And I guess if you just Google GoFundMe Cedar Point Fire, it'll probably take you right to that.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah. And that would be the best way to go. But it's a very well-designed GoFundMe page.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, it's pretty accessible and easy to navigate. So
Oh, that's
even
a very
I can
nice
do
thing.
it. Yeah.
No, I don't know about that. We know you, Frank.
I've had some people actually, send me checks, which I have no problem with at all, because either they don't have a computer or they don't feel like working it, and
Right,
so and I'll just put their stuff in. You
Right,
know?
you put it in for them.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's very cool. Very cool.
Mhm.
So yeah, so there's 10 owners of that building.
There is, yeah.
And 2 were uninsured, as I understand.
Yeah, we think that might be 9. We're not really sure. We know that 1 is definitely not insured, but the other, we're hoping that even though she may be unaware or he may be unaware, there was a small mortgage, I think, and we're hoping maybe the mortgage, how they slap
Mhm.
on an insurance
Right.
policy.
Right.
So we're hoping that she'll be, or that they'll be saved that way.
Yeah.
But we're not sure. I don't think they've checked, and we're just assuming, So we're hoping that 9 of them are insured.
Well,
and-
Frank and I were talking about that off the air, and it's very unusual today where a condo doesn't require insurance.
it is, yeah.
And so I hope that when you have your annual meeting that you do require an insurance policy, whether there's a bank involved or not, because nobody likes to pay for anything until you need it.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Especially insurance, right? And
Well,
you never
yeah.
want to use it.
Yeah,
right?
as someone who's an insurance broker, I understand that, because no one ever likes to think that
Right.
their house will burn.
For
Right.
sure.
So
Sure. Well, I think it also has something to do with the statutes that they do not there's a recommendation.
right, there's no requirement unless the condo itself in there
Yeah,
docs
the bylaws
require it.
Right.
But I just think it's a great idea that everyone is insured, because if your neighbor doesn't have insurance, we have a problem like you're having now, could be having now, and so it could hurt the entire association.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it could.
So it's great that you're doing this, but tell me about your occupation, your recce manager, master, and what is that? I had never sort of heard about
Oh,
that.
you haven't.
No.
And the word is Reiki, and it's spelled REIKI, and it's a spiritual hands-on healing modality that's been around for. It's Asian.
Uh-huh.
I think the Japanese and the Chinese are still trying to figure out who really did invent it, and but it's been around for about 3,000 years.
Oh, really?
Yes, yeah.
And how did you get interested in that?
Well, I took ill about 27 years ago and was diagnosed with a serious condition. And at that point, I didn't know what to do. And people actually were put in front of me that were into this healing business.
Mhm.
And I just sort of tripped into it and fell into it and have been doing it ever since.
And then that's where you touch different parts of the body, and it's supposed to relieve other parts of the body.
Exactly. And it has to do with energy, actually.
Mhm.
And it's not religious, but it is somewhat ritualistic, and it is spiritual. So we just manipulate energy from the universe and awaken people's healing abilities in themselves.
Well, I told you before, Frank,
Yeah.
Stewart is a place with very,
Yes.
very, I'm going to say strange, but that's really not the right word that I want to use. Unique
Yeah.
things happen.
Yeah.
And so as we come to a close
Yeah.
of another week,
Yes.
I just want you to know, Frank,
Yes.
that you bring out the best in people, and you really, really shine. You know, it was Frank's birthday this week.
Really?
He turned the great 6'5".
No, you didn't. You
Yeah.
don't look a day over 50.
Well,
bless
let's
your
not go
heart.
there. You're lying.
Happy birthday, Frank.
Thanks. Thank you.
And so let's give the information about the
Yes.
GoFundMe page one more time, Frank.
Right. Yeah. And people can call you too, right? Or do you have a
Yeah, they can-
contact number?
I do.
All right.
And that would be 772-287-6382.
Okay. And then the GoFundMe, just Google GoFundMe. I had that up. Let me
Well, that's
Cedar
look at
Point Village.
Cedar Point Village.
building.
Building.
That's probably all you need.
Yeah.
I have it under Cedar Point Village, building. What did I say?
F?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Fire. Yeah.
And you'll take any amount.
Yes.
No amount
Oh,
is too small
no. Right.
or too large.
That's right. That's right.
So, nice meeting you, Sarah.
Same here, Tom. Thank you.
Yeah. Very
So,
good.
so Frank,
Yes.
did you like this week?
Yes. It was a good week. It
So-
was-
So
yes.
we filled the hour, didn't we?
we did.
And we have
did.
nothing written before us.
Right. Isn't that amazing?
It is. It is. And we didn't have to even sing a song.
No.
Dance a dance or do a tune.
All right. Well, thank you very much, one and all. I appreciate you, Tom. Appreciate
Take
you,
care,
Sarah.
Frank. Sarah.
All right.
Thank you, fellas.
And we'll be back again next week. And thank
Frank
our
and a
listeners.
friend or so.
Well, yes. Somebody, Debbie will maybe be back.
You never know
You
how
never
those roads turn in the mountains.
All right. And we thank our listeners, too. Thanks for being part of our show. Good night.